proper form whenever you're working out. It allows you to get the most out of your exercise, to minimize any type of injury, and to get the most out of your workouts. So what I'd like to go over with you is having proper form with your core. A lot of things that I see are having arching of your spine, or using momentum, or not articulating through the spine or through the exercises. And the last thing that I'd like to go over is proper arm tracking. So if you're using the cables, a lot of times people use their arm movements rather than using their core. So I'd like to go over some exercises so that you can have proper form whenever you're working your core and get the most out of that core exercise. So the first exercise we're going to go over are straight leg lowers. First, we're going to just use the glide board, and I'd like to show you what I mean by arching of the spine. So when you're on the glide board, you're holding on to the top of it. When your legs come up, sometimes you lower down too much and then the spine starts to arch. And that's not really activating through your core. You're just letting everything hang out. So what I'd like you to focus on is pressing your spine, using the glide board as a reference. And when you lower the legs, keep that contact with your core pressing in onto the glide board so you can really feel the activation of your core. It doesn't matter how low your legs go, because once your spine starts to arch, that's the point whenever you stop, so that you can really use the core through the motion and activate it at all times. And the same goes for whenever you use it with your cables. So I'll show you using a straight leg lower exercise. Same thing, will come into a supine position, keeping your arms extended. The same thing, the legs will lower and lift, but if they go too low and your spine starts to arch off, you've lost the core connection. So that is what I mean by arching of the spine. The next exercise that we'll go over are just simple crunches. It's so easy to do a crunch, right? No, not necessarily. Because if you are using momentum or you're not articulating your spine, you're not really activating through your core. So when you're doing a typical crunch, a lot of times I see people using their arms and fighting up through it, where they're using that momentum and they're flopping back to the ground. That's not really doing a crunch. I see it on the ball, I see it on the floor, but you could use your total gym and really activate by using your core, pressing it into the glide board to use that articulation through the movement. And I'll show you what I mean. So the incline helps us do that. You're going to articulate through your spine. So as you're rolling up as well as down, you're able to feel each part of the segments of your spine roll down and roll back up. The higher the incline, the easier this will be, but the lower that you place this, the harder the challenge. And then you can add the cables. So I'll show you what I mean by that too. So any type of movement that you're doing with a roll up or a roll down, you still use that same type of feeling. So you can roll up as well as down so that you're not flopping through the movement. You don't want to use that momentum because then it starts to get a little sloppy. And the same thing if you're in your reverse position facing the tower, you can take it into that roll down position by using the cables, using the glide board to really slowly articulate your back into the glide board without using the momentum. And the last exercise I like to go over that's such a very important core exercise are torso rotations. There's so many good things that you can do with your arms and with the cables, but when you're using a rotational movement, you want that motion to come from your torso, not from your arms. So a lot of times whenever we're using those cables, I see this, where the arms are swinging across the body rather than taking the torso and then initiating the movement from here. So if you're using the cable and you're coming into a seated position, this is what I see and I would like you to try to change. I see the arms just swinging across. This is not a torso rotation. This is just an arm movement. So what I'd like you to do is place your hands into the center of your chest, rotate away. Now the movement may be very small, and that's fine, but once you get better at feeling how the torso rotates around your spine, you can start to move the arms away from your body to do the same motion. And then as you excel, you can take this into a kneeling position to advance the exercise. So the next time that you do your core workout, try to focus on proper articulation of the spine, proper arm tracking, and not arching through the movement. You will see and feel the differences within your core in no time.